I did. Oh, on the third floor. Oh, it's okay. If they give me one, it would be a good day.
Hey, did you see I got a purple scarf?
I saw that.
They gave me a WeGo.
Hey, everybody. Happy Thursday. I'm going to call the Nashville MTA board meeting, WeGo Public Transit Board meeting to order. And first on the agenda is the approval of the April 25th minutes. If I can have a motion for approval. Second. I'm like staring at you. She loves a second. So there is a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries, and we have approved April 25th meetings. Next on our agenda is public comments, and we have several public comments today. So want to remind everyone that you have a 3-minute limitation, and when you're at the 1-minute mark, I'll give you some kind of signal to let you know that you have 1 minute left. So let's start with Glenn Graham.
Well, I need to do an additional comment because of coming in and hearing all this, these major changes that are being proposed. I had this enormous sense of deja vu.
Would you like to go to the microphone?
Okay.
So we can catch your comments better. Thank you very much.
I had this enormous sense of deja vu that, we're back in 2008 again. Last month, I had meant to, I had planned to address you mostly with compliments. However, when about 1:30 p.m. on the appointed day I arrived here, the door was locked, and upon inquiry, I found out that because of that NFL draft event, the meeting had been moved somewhere else, the name of which I did not recognize, and for all I knew, it was way out in the boondocks somewhere. In the intervening month, several concerns have come to my attention. First, the document of several pages that you all produced that was supposed to help us riders get around on the day of the marathon, which was already, was just adding to the disruption of the NFL event. It wasn't worth the paper it was printed on, because the routes that I needed to use that were affected on the paper, it was totally inaccurate information. And I ended up walking about half a mile and waiting over an hour altogether just to ride a bus. The new pocket schedules, they're pretty, they're attractive. I like the purple and white. And I can understand that you want them to be simple. The KISS principle. However, they are too simple. They lack vital information that the old pocket schedules had. For instance, the old ones had, major landmarks and destinations listed on the front. They're not listed now. The maps are way too simple, and they only give the transfer number routes. They don't give the names, and there are a lot of riders who focus more on the name than they do the number. Then I have some problems about Route 17's detours, but I won't cover that. I'll just let you read this. Thanks for getting that fourth gate open on the lower level. Now if we could just get the drinking fountains working. And finally, there's that constantly breaking down business with the escalators. It seems to have gotten worse since that big makeover that y'all did.
Thank you, Mr. Graham.
Thanks.
Mr. Knight.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
I want to address first and say the route reductions, of course, nobody wants. This board didn't want it. The customers does not want to see it. Unfortunately, It's real. It's going to happen. I think that with what is presented is, at least in my opinion, the best that can be done to keep from hurting as many people. So I do want people to leave this meeting and actually address their neighborhood for anyone that you know that is actually using WeGo public service, to address them about this meeting and make sure that you alert them to the website as well, or to their Facebook and Twitter. The other thing that I would like to say is I appreciate the staff literally taking the time to work overtime to make sure that the customers are going to be aware to get the information in a timely fashion. You have to think this is at the end of May, and these changes will take place towards the end of September. Again, also, I'd like to address repeated issues with buses not being fixed, the downside. Still seeing that problem progress. Some of the buses that are in the fleet that are having this problem are ones that are getting closer to retirement, and I don't even know if they're going to make another year, which could present a whole nother issue sometime in 2020. The other thing that I would like to address also is, like, when you guys actually take the steps to moving these stops for the BRT lights, which will basically be called the rapid routes, the WeGo rapid routes, make sure that, you know, the staff that come out to clean them are cleaning each of these stops and not just leaving littered trash all over the place. And I would also like if you would ask your drivers to ask the customers to stop leaving their trash in the seats, staining seats on buses that are older, as well as actually cleaning the seats on the new buses. There are plenty of black, grayish, odd-looking stains in these new seats already. And I feel like that is actually a nuisance and an actual issue, because people are still getting things on their clothes with these brand new buses. And so that is all that I have to say, and I appreciate your time, and I appreciate the staff's efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Knight.
We appreciate you coming to the hearing, too, the budget hearing.
Mr. O'Connor. Mr. O'Connor, I learned something new. I learned I could do a little binger on my phone instead of me timing you, so you'll hear binger when you're 3 minutes.
Well, I may not require all that, but I just mentioned
That's
it
okay.
in case
I
others.
didn't want you to think I was picking on you. I just learned that. So I didn't want you to think like all of a sudden I got this binger and it was on you. So I just want you to know that it's only because I just learned that. I'm going to learn Twitter soon too, but it's good. I don't got to grow up. Okay, I'll leave you alone. We'll go.
I wind up in Facebook jail a lot of times anyway. So, okay. Well, good day, everybody. I had to make some changes to the comments that I was going to be mentioning because of the proposed changes. So some of the stuff is going to be a little bit shorter than what I had. Okay, getting back to some of the stuff. The bus stop that we had in front of the NES building, still, okay, it's difficult for people who have difficulties walking, getting from the nearest bus stop to the NES building, and really would appreciate seeing the old bus stop being put back there. And if it means to get the bus back on a route to get back to that point again, I've spoken to too many people already since the last bus stop that was there. A lot of people are really irritated by that because some people have difficulties walking and, frankly, can't get to the NAS building because they can't walk. So, really need to take that into consideration as soon as possible. Again, okay, because of the proposed changes, but still here it is the city of Nashville that, has done some considerable growing at a point now where bus service really needs to be at a 24/7 kind of point, especially on the weekends, and coming into a season where, there's more people using the buses than the off season. And matching, customer service hours that people still need. So again, I know in light of the proposed changes, it may be a little difficult at this point. Again, I'm going to echo the words of the gentleman here just a little while ago. Escalators are getting to be a pain in the butt because they're constantly being down. I don't know where you get your parts from, China or whatever, but they're coming in on a slow boat, and people are really getting to be a pain in the butt about that. And also, people are not coming to a lot of meetings because they're getting too political for people, and people don't like politics. And so if you can kind of make it so that people understand that it's more for their interests than politics, then you might be able to get more people to attend meetings more often. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, it worked.
Perfect timing, Peter.
You're oh. The small pleasures. Mr. Bull. Mr. Bull around today? Oh, where'd John Bull go? Okay. Well, if he comes back, we'll bring him back up again. Rhonda Clark.
That would be me. You want me to stand up?
Oh, no, you're right. You're good right there, okay?
Okay.
Yes, it's good to see you.
Unless your therapist wants you to stand, if that's the case, get up.
The chair actually does.
Oh, the chair stands. All
It's
right.
your choice.
I can talk while I stand, so.
Okay.
First of all, I'd like to say I'm glad to hear that the on-demand service is going to stay. Secondly, I would like to say that I don't think, and I don't want anybody to get mad at me, but you'll get over it if you're mad. I don't think the fare increases are high enough unless you get designated funds. I've been here for 23 years, and I've been telling MTA their fares are too low. I think the bus fare needs to be $2, access ride needs to be $4, and on-demand needs to be $8. And leave it at 16 miles instead of 14. The other question I would have is, if you're going to eliminate the 100 Oaks route, how are the route eliminations going to affect access ride and on-demand? And my last question is, because access ride, traditional access ride, has been put by the wayside for so long, and now they're having to use the on-demand service providers for overflow. It affects those of us that want to use the on-demand service because they may not be available. 2 weeks ago, I missed an appointment because I couldn't use the service provider because there was too many access ride overflow riders on that particular service provider. I've already spoken with India and Maryland, but I wanted to see if you could all put your heads together and figure it out. And I really think, because there's nobody in this room that can go from one end of the county to the other for $8, if you do, or for $2. You know, I mean, you got to think you've got liability insurance, you've got upkeep of vehicles, you've got to pay your employees, you've got to keep everybody happy. You're not going to make everybody happy all the time, but you've got to, you know, unless you get a bunch of designated money, and there needs to be designated money for fixed route buses, access ride, and on-demand. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Ms. Hanson.
Hello, everybody. I think, yeah, it's kind of sad that we went from, oh, how are we going to improve this and this and this, to trying to hang on to what we have. 25 bus elimination on Sunday. That's how I get to church, just saying. If they eliminate Sunday service on that, I'll have to catch a bus 40 minutes earlier to get to church. But anyway, that's just one example. I have the transit app, and it's happening more and more and more where I get alerts and I'm glad they have the alerts to let me know, but I get a lot more of these alerts lately that says Route X and XYZ will not be running due to an incident en route, and I don't know what these incidents are. I'm curious actually to know, are they police activity or are they buses breaking down or whatever, but there just seems to be so much more of those lately. Another thing, let's see. Yeah. Regarding, I like the idea of the 25 and the 21 combining, for example, and not going downtown. You probably may not be able to see this kind of a diagram, but say this is downtown. You've got crosstown close to downtown. I think it would make a lot more sense to have crosstown connector buses further out, rather than closer to downtown, because the connector buses close to downtown aren't saving people as much time as further out connector buses would. Like, say, going around Old Hickory Boulevard, Bell Road, and maybe going around Harding and, Donaldson, whatever. So that's, of course, and I've been preaching this since 1984. Yeah, it takes to me it's just common sense. I don't know why they don't do that. So
You have 1 minute, Ms. Anderson.
I think that's it. Okay. No, that's it.
Thank you.
All right. At least I had a list this time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for attending the budget hearing as well.
Yeah. You're more than welcome.
I have no more public comment slips. Are there any more public comments who didn't give me a slip? Are there any more public comments? Any other public comments? There being none, I will close the public comment section of our agenda.
Oh my goodness.
I guess whichever on your phone must have a comment.
And it's buried at the bottom of my. I'm going to have to fold.
It's okay. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. I wish I could hear the rest of it, but I got it.
It's okay.
I'm lucky I was able to see this one.
Mr. Searcy, how about Operations and Finance Committee?
We're done, Madam Chair.
Y'all got nothing? Okay. Well, thank you for being here with all that. So, thank you. New initiatives. Well, Ms. Miller, I think you have a lot of something.
Well, I think I'm going to let Steve handle the heavy lifting on this. I will say that we had a very lengthy conversation in the NICE committee. Primary topic is the $8.7 million budget deficit. We've got difficult choices to make here, and it's just where we are at this point in the life of the organization. But I do believe every board member truly and staff, the hundreds of hours that staff have put into this is kind of awe-inspiring when you see it. But the goal truly is to impact as few people as is humanly possible on this with the choices that we're being forced to make. So with that, Steve, I'll kind of let you summarize kind of at a high level. So.
And after I spent about an hour of the board's time in committee, that's dangerous.
Don't talk about specific routes. How about that?
Well, all I would do as synopsis is the specific action we're requesting of the board is authorization to take this series of fare adjustments and service adjustments to public hearing. And if you authorize that today, we will undertake the hearing and the public engagement process. We will take whatever comments, bring them back in summary form, as well as any adjustments made to the final proposal to your June meeting for final adoption, along with the FY 19-20 recommended operating budget. We walked through in committee the reasons behind the deficit, 2019-20. 19-20.
19-20?
We walked through the reasons behind the deficit. We walked through, various activities we were undertaking. We went through the service change recommendations in some detail, although I think has been mentioned several times, some of them are fairly complicated, so it is incumbent on folks that we do a good job communicating and people learn specifically what those changes are and how it'll affect their trip patterns. If enacted by the board in June. Fare increases would go into effect on August 1st. Service changes on or about September 29th. And I would request, Madam Chair, that we enter the documentation from the committee meeting into the official record of the board meeting so that we have that track record.
Thank you very much.
That's what we did today.
And do you have a recommendation?
We do have a recommendation that the board approve moving to the public hearing process. And I don't think we need to vote. Do we need to vote on it?
Just in the record that the board is fine
committee
with.
fully approves.
Committee recommends, and with it being committee recommendation, we doesn't require a second. Is there any discussion? No discussion. There being no discussion, all those in favor of moving forward? Aye. Motion carries, and WeGo will move forward.
That's right.
So, anything else?
That's it.
That's
for the
it.
Nice
That
Committee.
was
Yes,
that
ma'am.
was a lot. So, Chair's report. I don't have a whole lot. I just want to reemphasize my gratitude for the work of the staff. I know that this takes a lot of expertise to be able to get us even to this point. And I also know that the work in front of you is going to be long and it's going to be a lot, but I know that we are poised and ready to do that. It's really important. And I agree with you, Hannah, that having the public be informed and be actively involved in conversations about where we go from here, because it is their bus system. It becomes critically important. So thank you for what you've done so far, staff, and thank you for what you all are getting ready to do. And I would also say, please call upon us if you need us at these public hearings. There's some place that we can be really supportive, we can be there, we can be helpful, we can help answer questions. Don't hesitate to say, I really need you all to show up or be at some of those. I think we're all here to support all of the efforts. I think the conversation just keeps going and going. This dedicated source of funding is something that we still need to sort of keep that conversation going and keep that at the forefront of how we take care of transit in Nashville. Other than that, I think I'm just looking forward to all of the work that's coming out next month, and we just push forward, and thank you all for what you do. And I'll turn it over to you, Steve.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a few things to report. I've certainly taken enough mic time for one day. First of all, as always, in the Operations and Finance Committee, call your attention, as Walter did, every month we'll give you a schedule of upcoming procurements, and particularly in the area of disadvantaged business enterprise. I know Greta Beard, our procurement director, and Rita Roberts-Turner, our chief administrative officer, have been doing handsprings lately to expand that program. So certainly I want to make you aware of what's coming up and whatever you can do to kind of get word out in the supplier community. Particularly, we have a couple construction projects both on the challenge saying WeGo anymore is since the RTA adopted the name, they're both now WeGo. But on both the MTA side and the RTA side, we have a couple of significant construction projects coming up that we'd like to have. I've already told people, Glenn, if we get one bid, I am not taking it to the board. So I need competition for us to get projects. With respect to the neighborhood transit centers, we are still moving forward. We're in negotiations on the Clarksville Pike property. That's going pretty well. We have a number of staff working on a Build Act grant application opportunity, extremely competitive federal program. It's actually the current administration's version of the old program that we got the Murfreesboro program, or the Murfreesboro Signal project funded under. So there's a lot of enthusiasm in the city and with the particular developer and in the neighboring community around that project. And we're also in design on the Hillsborough Transit Center. There's a little bit of urgency to that project because our current bus stop will essentially be eliminated with the reconstruction of the high school. So we're working in lockstep with the school district and Public Works on that upgrade. I've sort of tried to. Nashville really looked pretty on TV for the NFL draft, and that was pretty impressive visual. Unfortunately, I knew what a lot of people were dealing with, like less than a block away, so I couldn't enjoy it quite as much. But in talking about giving congratulations and kudos to the staff, particularly our operations group, did a bang-up job on trying to minimize disruptions with the draft. To be frank, one of the things that I guess you could say helped us in that regard is a lot of people who work downtown decided they weren't coming anywhere near the place. So from that standpoint, it was actually relatively smooth. There were a lot of last-minute changes and what have you, so I appreciate the criticism about the lack of communication, but in some cases that's way beyond our control. Things just happen, last second, and you try to get it out on social media as best you can, but, that tends to occur. We did experience a drop in ridership as we had a lot of regular riders just stay home or work from home that week, and we incurred some additional expense in terms of supervisory overtime and, just covering runs that we're back and forth with, the Visitors Corporation to cover some of that. Obviously, the focus for many of our staff this month have been preparing for the service proposals and fare proposals that you just entertained. Again, we took the direction, and Gail epitomizes it do it with a surgical knife, not with a hatchet. So that was taken to heart, and I'm really proud of our group for what they've been able to do. But again, I want to put a dose of reality in it that if we don't address the underlying structural issues in our budget, namely a dedicated and growing source of reliable funding, this will become an annual exercise, and the surgical precision gets less and less, every round you do. Again, I want to thank Gail and Walter for attending our council hearing. It was, my wife always tells me I'm a pessimist, and I always tell her as a result I'm seldom disappointed and often pleasantly surprised. And Ed and Gail and I were up on the dais, and it was actually a pretty well-informed, a lot of good questions from council. It wasn't antagonistic. This was fortunate timing that they didn't know the specific cuts in their district on the night of the hearing. But a number of them, certainly understand the need for that long-term and reliable funding source. So we'll continue to work with council and obviously the mayor's office on trying to identify long-term solutions. I always want to update you on a few RTA items. We've completed the first round of public outreach on the South Corridor study. Pretty good attendance in Columbia, Franklin, Brentwood, and in Nashville. So we'll be pursuing that project with GNRC and TDOT. Pretty exciting project coming up. Really doesn't have anything to do with us or the RTA, but right adjacent to the Mount Juliet station, a developer is breaking ground on a transit-oriented development, with multi-unit, both rental and ownership units and some retail specifically connected to the train. They're not asking for much of anything, certainly not money from us, so I'm especially encouraged by that project. And staff our procurement and our operations and legal staff are working on concluding negotiations for the purchase of new rail cars, new used rail cars, new to us rail cars for the Music City Star. And then finally, was it an honor?
Locomotives.
Yeah, well, the cars. The locomotives are being rehabbed, so we have the first of those being rehabbed, but these would be new, used cars. And what an honor and what a privilege to be at the convention center earlier today with a whole bunch of folks. For folks who don't know, Gail and David Williams were honored by the Community Foundation with the Francis S. Guest Bridge to Equality Award. And when you read the description of the award, talk about people who epitomize that. And the fact, frankly, because I ran into Gail right before the event, and I said, we are good on quorum. You want to bask in the limelight, feel free, enjoy the afternoon. Spend time with your family, spend time with your friends, and lo and behold, there she is, knowing what was happening here today. So if that doesn't tell you anything about our chair, I'm not sure what does, but it was truly an honor to be there, Gail, and thank you for everything that you and your family have done for this community, and certainly for the MTA over the years. So with that, Madam Chair, that concludes my report.
Glad I didn't have to come after that, but thank you very much. It's my honor to serve, and I get lucky enough to serve you all for a long time, right? Has it been that long? Wow. We've been in it to win it, y'all. And it's my honor, especially as we talk about what we're talking about today. We're talking about making things good for all people in this city, and we all have to be in this to sort of work hard to make this work, but it's my honor and to serve for y'all. Don't get much better than that. Thank you so much. And then, you know, I didn't say this in my report, and I feel very remiss that I didn't. At both the mayor's budget hearing and Metro Council hearing, Steve was excellent. I think the one thing that I always like sitting next to Steve, I don't really have to do anything. I just sort of sit there and I doodle every now and then and pretend like I'm taking notes. But what I have to take notes from? Y'all ever see Steve's notes, right? What else would I add to it? But he does an excellent job. He's so prepared. He doesn't miss anything. He also pushes the right buttons to make certain that we're getting opportunities that may not be on the table, and I appreciate that. And Ed sits right there with all the extra notes in case Steve doesn't have them and is equally as prepared. And I've been sitting with Ed for 17 years of those, but I just want to say that makes a difference, and I think it makes a difference for the progress of WeGo MTA, that we always walk in the door prepared, because when you're prepared, you know, opportunities do happen.
Especially when you contrast the other presentations
Absolutely.
and how they're received.
Yes.
Yeah.
And always on time and always prepared. And it does make a difference. So it poises us to be in the best place, even in the worst time. So thank you, Steve, for all your good
Thank you.
work. Thank you. Any other business? No old, no new? Then I guess we should do a motion for adjournment. What y'all say? Wait.
Third.
She just need a moment. Honey.
Oh,
You move?
okay, I'll second.
So you're second?
Let the record show.
Adjourn.